especially now because it is tighter to get deals. Like deals are still out there, don't get me wrong, but it helps to have this other arm, this other component. You can still do stuff. You're not wasting money on marketing. And that pretty much pays for your marketing. Like if you're able to turn these leads into listings, then that just pays for your marketing. And it's like, okay, well, free marketing. How many deals do you want to do if your marketing's free?
And it's all exposure too. It's branding exposure. So if you're doing this under one branding exposure, which helps with referrals, both on the retail and the motivated seller side. And then private lenders, like the bigger your name you have, like it's going to get easier to get private lenders and possibly even at better rates and better terms. So, and then team members, when you're bringing on, sales agents or other realtors on the team. So there's a multiplier effect as you grow. It's just, if you're growing on one, and this is another thing that happened in 2018, because competition was getting even more heated in Houston. Like we found that we were largely a one-trick pony. We had some rentals, but they were fairly insignificant at the time. And when we weren't making as much as we needed to on flipping, like that really hurt NOI. So that's why we started diversifying and adding the retail, adding the Airbnb, and then buying more rentals. And then we joined EXP. And so now we had multiple legs on our stool to maintain financially healthy.
I think that's a good transition here, because I know you're really into multifamily a lot recently. Can you kind of tell us about that and like what prompted you guys to transition to that and the benefits you've seen there?
Yeah, so in 2018, we added the retail component on. We went on the Airbnb, we joined EXP, and we're pushing along. But as we started going, and this is maybe another 6-9 months as we're pushing along, we realized like we've got this huge machine. Now, our beginning goals, real estate from the very beginning, for me, for my wife, has always been build wealth and build passive income. So we flipped, I don't know, maybe 170 properties at that point, and realized like there's no end. Like, yeah, we're making money, but we can never turn it off, because then we lose money. Because like you've got marketing pumped into it, you've got assistants and operational costs and all this stuff. So we can never turn it off, which means we have to keep going. And then you have a choice: stay small, make money, very active, very busy, scale, and try to bust out of the gravitational pull of that middle zone. I forget that one of the books I've read, Simple Numbers, I think it could have been Profit First, where it talks about basically here's where you are now, small business, doing well, probably the fattest margin you'll ever have. But when you try to scale, there's this next level, and you really want to get up here. But this next little level here is the death zone. The reason is, and you will die here if you don't break out. So in here, it requires extra capital cost in marketing and resources and labor. And so for a time, you're going to be making much less money and maybe even losing money. But if you break out of it, things are great. Now you can start maybe hiring a COO to pull out. And I know people who've done this. We personally had tried doing that within the flipping business. And every time we just got that resistance. So we kept pulling back. And we're like, do we really even want to do that? And the answer was no. So we started making small adjustments to get lean operationally, hold more rentals. 2019, leaner, started hold more rentals. And then 2020, COVID came, and it was like an opportunity for us. Like, well, I mean, we have to shut down anyway because they're shutting everything down. Let's just like I'll take a hatchet to the final little things we had, give us a good opportunity to reset. So we did that, bought a couple more rentals that year. And then when we realized like, hey, look, now that we actually have this opportunity, where can we get the biggest benefit to growing wealth and growing passive income? And for us, it wasn't single family, because in 2016, if we would have done that, we would have been able to buy a lot more, but I'm having to work harder because of competition. So I was like, if we have to work so hard for a home, I just wanted to have more than one door. So that's ultimately what we realized, like, hey, look, we know a lot of people who are doing very well in the multifamily game. We've stayed in touch with them. I've been watching their business over the past couple of years. Let's have some other conversations. We got a great opportunity in Daytona Beach, Florida, probably not too far from you, where it was a $42 million, 384 unit Class B project that we were able to become. I'm a small GP in that deal, but it was a good opportunity to put our investors' money to work and get in that project. And now we're in the process of scaling that side of it.
Amazing. Really cool stuff. I mean, that's why I always recommend for beginners, like, get into flipping, like get your feet wet, start to accumulate capital. Okay. Now you have capital, then you can put that as a down payment into like a single family rental, like a multifamily rental.
Yeah.
But it just, skyrockets you to be able to buy cash flow and buy infinite cash flow. Like as many flips as you do, throw that into passive investment.